know why there are no plants in here, but I really love plants, and my goal was to start a garden in my mother's backyard, and it's going well. I bought my first succulent. She's called Lucy, so I'm a plant mom. And she's doing well because she's a succulent and she doesn't require a lot of my attention. So she's doing the work for me.
Awesome. So my name is Simba Muvuma. I'm from Zimbabwe. I head an organization called Law Basket. So Law Basket is an access to justice startup that works with lawyers and startups and insurance companies to find a new financing model for legal services. World since 2014. I practiced law in between, but I've been in the startup world for that long, and I have started a startup that did payment processing for law firms, as well as case management and billing. That's now running outside of me. I am a co-organizer of Legal Hackers, and we don't hack people, just to put it out there. Every time people hear legal hackers, they think we're trying to hack lawyers. That's not what we do. So it's I did have New Year's resolutions, and one of them was to travel and see more places, connect with more people. It's March, and I was for my legal tech startup, which is amazing. So yeah, looking forward to talk more and to have these interesting conversations with people that share similar interests.
Great. On that note, we'll have the Legal Hackers drink up, and you're paying. Thanks.
Not from my, but I get it.
Okay, so as part of the Legal Hackers community, what we do is we organize events, and one of the events that we had in Nairobi was a Coding for Lawyers class. So I got together a group of 20 to 30 lawyers. These were proper advocates, like guys who've been practicing for 5 to 10 years. I sat them down in a room, took them to Africa's Talking. I don't know if you know Africa's Talking, but it's a unicorn startup based out of Nairobi that has expanded to about 10 or more countries. And they offer different solutions, value-added services, including USSD. But anyway, so I took them. Is she here? Okay, sorry. So I took them, we sat down, took them through about a 6 to 8 weeks course on coding. They sat down and they learned Python. So leads me to the question, do you think lawyers should code, or should we just leave the coding to the coders and the devs? We hire them, we either get front end or back end or full stack engineers to do all the coding for us, or is there any value add in having lawyers learn how to code?
So I would say that it depends, firstly, on an individual, the lawyer.
Okay, like a true lawyer. No yes or no answer.
But okay, so I would say there needs to be an understanding of how code works. Mm-hmm. That might not necessarily always need the lawyer himself or herself to actually do the coding, but you need to understand what a coding language is. So, for example, if you have a case which has a technological aspect or tech aspect to it, you need to understand the terminology that's used. You need to understand the basic way that the technology works. So you need to understand what is encryption, what is blockchain, what is coding, what is Python, and things like that. But beyond that, it's now up to whether the lawyer has time, whether the lawyer has interest, and whether the lawyer is even creative, because why would you code? Like, do you code to create apps? Do you code to automate processes? Or do you want to code because you've heard Simba say coders are cool people? So there has to be like a real reason why someone would be interested in that. I would say that's my almost yes answer in brief.
I think for me, it's more of, first of all, yeah, like he said, understanding the why, right? I don't think everyone should go do it because of FOMO, fear of missing out, and it's like the hottest topic, and everyone's doing it. I'd rather people actually understand the why and then be able to see how this will benefit them professionally, right? And even personally. And as a tech educator, I've had instances where people from different backgrounds have asked me, can you teach me how to code? How do I get started? But then they start, and then in the middle of it, they're like, okay, this is not for me. Right? So mostly, I wouldn't ask lawyers to leave their 8 to 5 to go learn how to code, but more like looking at, how is the future of work, right? What will tech look like 10 years from now? What do it look like 5 years from now? And how will it look like in the space of law, if that's what you call it? And trying to also position yourself in a place where you have competitive advantage, right? People started coding like 10 years ago. Mark Zuckerberg started coding Facebook a long time ago, and now it's really, really hot, right? And because it's hot and people are making money very fast, that's why a lot of people want to do it. But now it's not hot anymore for techies. It's not really hot. Now we're looking at data. What can data do for us, right? How can we optimize our businesses and use technology and create digital interventions in the work that we do into our day-to-day, so that we can be able to move our processes forward, optimize our businesses, become cost effective, and make better decisions, right? And predict the future using technology. So technology now has become an enabler, and I'd say because it's an enabler, how can you now use it to make your business and your skills move forward? So that's my 2 cents.
Have you had any lawyers in your classes? And how has that been? Are they the hard-headed ones, the most talkative ones?
I've not really had necessarily lawyers come to me telling me they want to learn how to code, but last year I was part of the hackathon that was run by Lawyers Hub, and it was interesting working with lawyers because they ask a lot of questions, and I think that's where the advantage is, right? They know how to do their research, they know how to ask the right questions, and that provokes developers to think further and think, beyond just, we're creating technology, but what's the logic? What's the problem we're solving? So I think that's where the advantage is, actually.
Yeah, so I'll just start by saying, I think it was in the context of what we were talking about. You talked about how one of the 2 subjects that anyone can ever study are either law or programming, right? And the reason for that is that he said it teaches you how to think, right? So you look at programming, you learn lines of code. You never learn how to create a specific thing. You learn how to create certain types of code and different languages, but then you are able to process it to create something unique and something new, which in my mind is the same thing that we lawyers do. And that's really you learn a specific subject, but you're supposed to apply that to your client and to come up with something that is unique and that is unique to every given case. So in my view, coding is not really something that is unique to lawyers, or something that is new or that would be completely out of this world. Lawyers already concentrated a lot that a long time ago was not that difficult. At the end of the day, I think lawyers need to stop, if I can say this, pontificating about technology. Like, we go to conferences, we hear people talking, but people need to start doing the action. And the trouble is, a lot of law firms or a lot of smaller practitioners actually don't have the capacity to be able to hire, big coders that, do big projects. So a little bit of understanding, if you hire people that are at the lower end of the sort of programming world, you need that level of understanding to be able to come up with something that is actually helpful to you. So you might not need to be able to code, but you need to know how it works. You need to understand beyond Excel, beyond Outlook, which is what a lot of lawyers that I used to know thought was technology. So I think we need to go deeper and stop pontificating about tech, basically.
Can you code?
Yeah, I do. I do code basic stuff. I'm learning. I do code in Python and all that, and which is like what people always talk about. So I do code, but I'm learning, and it excites me. I don't code to actually do big projects, but I code because I think it's not that big of a transition from what I already do as as a lawyer and as a person who's in the startup world. I need to understand the product, so I do try my best to do that.
Okay, so as Mutindi gets ready to respond to that question and to introduce herself, I sat through that Python class as well, obviously because I had a team there. I had to sit through it, and so we did the whole 8 weeks. I have never used it in my life. It's on my CV. I say, I have an idea. I get the gist of what it is. But then what's important, and what our trainer told us, which is exactly what everyone on the panel has said, was it shifts your way of thinking. It's for you to be analytical, query, and ask. When you're writing code, there's no, you can't, it depends it. You can't fake it. It either is or it's not. 1 + 1 can't be 2.5. It's the logic has to make sense. How you write your code, it has to flow back, and you have to figure out damn it, where's this bag? And so it was the same thing that Simba is just saying, that it's the process and it's that understanding and the analytics behind it. The second thing also is when you have a basic understanding of some sense of technical understanding, you can call out your developers when they work for you. So for example, you get someone to build you a law firm management system. It's in line with the LSK policy, or what's it called? The handbook, the LSK handbook on law firm management system, but then it doesn't do anything for you. Your people will still have to scan their documents. They'll have to print. You have huge files. You have documents missing. But if you work together with this dev who has no idea what the legal system is, what the law process is, how court matters are handled and dealt with, or what chamber summons is, if you can work with them and take them through the process and have a basic or somewhat understanding of the system, then it's even hard for you to query it. So Mtindi, please introduce yourself. Tell us what your resolution was for this year. No, seriously, and where you're at now.
Okay.
And then should lawyers go?
Okay, my name is Mutindi Mwema, and I'm a technology and telecoms lawyer. I sit on the Law Society of Kenya ICT and IP committee, and I am a regulatory and policy manager at Oxygen MCL. My New Year's resolution, one of my New Year's resolution was to write 3 more books. So I'm an author as well. I have a book on electronic signatures, the law of electronic signatures. So my resolution for this year was to write 3 books. I have started with my first book on data protection in the telco industry. So I'm somewhere in the messiness of the draft 0. Yeah. Whether lawyers should learn how to code. So I also took a coding class. I did this. Yeah, I'm a tech and telecoms lawyer, but then brother's the telecommunications engineer. Wow, he did BBIT and he has a master's in mobile applications. I mean, something IT. I don't even know what it's in, yeah. So what happened is I learned how to code because of the influence of my brothers during December holidays when you're all home. And you're sitting at home and your parents, are giving you house chores. I'm the only girl and the guys will be freeloading. And so I decided, even me, I came home to have a holiday. So I'm going to do what y'all are doing. So my brother's the ones who taught me how to code. I think we started with, it's called, I haven't forgotten the language. I think it's like C++ or something along those lines. So did a mini website. I was so excited. The way like you do the test run and then like it actually comes up like as a page. The first time I did like my first sentence, So what I'll say about it is, should lawyers learn how to code? Not necessarily for your job. What I'd say is you can go through the experience for purposes like gaining the experience and understanding how technology works. So one, it helps for me as a technology and telecoms lawyer when I'm dealing with technical disputes that relate to technology as a service. Yeah, so it really helps when at least you have some level of background understanding. People start disputing. There's a matter I handled if there was a dispute on a technology service contract that was basically about developing a system. So if you have absolutely no idea what development looks like on the back end, because the bottom line of the fight was the scope of work. So the client was making noise about, I hired you to give me a solution that does A, B, C, and D, but the company that was contracted says, no, you only hired us to give you A and B, and you signed off on this scope of work. So now you have a technical dispute that's running into the millions of US dollars, all about a scope of work for development of a solution. If you have no idea how development works, then it becomes very hard for you to even like advise your client or help them mitigate losses or negotiate or come to an agreement with, the client that they're fighting with. Then secondly, it also just helps, like, as I think it's Simba who said, with the reasoning and the logic behind it. So like if you're coding and, you're trying to code a program on that helped, what automatically makes tea, you have to literally code every single instruction. Like pick the cup, like put the water, the tea bag, take the tea bag. It's not just put a tea bag. Where do you get the tea bag? Where do you get the sugar? It's literally every single thing. So one of my takeouts from that experience, I'm like June, so I don't code. I don't use like the code anywhere other than maybe bonding with my brothers over December holiday. But it really just helps you stop taking things for granted. As lawyers, because I'm a lawyer, that's my background, sometimes you assume people know what you're talking about. When you're doing an advisory to the client, especially if you're external and you're advising companies, even the in-house, like you assume people know what you're talking about. No, they don't. You have to, if it's take the tea bag, where is the tea bag found, where is it stored, where is it, like you really just have to go into the details of that. And then thirdly, part of what I also do, like it helps just attending, it's like learning by immersion. I like attending these events. They're like marketing events by Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and just going to sit in through the technical track, like with the techies, where they'll be going to talk about their code and all those things that they do as techies. And it's very interesting because where we're heading with the disputes we're going to be having today, if you order something off Jumia and it's not delivered, let's say there's a problem, you have to be able to understand as a lawyer, was the problem at the inventory stage, like, or was it at the cart when you are checking out, or was it after you've made the payment? And it has several implications. Because, for example, if your in-house cancel at Jumia and there's such a problem, how do you fix it, and where does the issue lie? Was the platform developed by one developer, or were they 3 or 5 or 6 different developers? You kind of like need to be able to understand how it works in the background for you and give advice. Yeah, so for the experience, it helps you be better at your job.
I like the tea bag analogy. Okay, wrapping up. Get it from how you mix it, the steps that you have to take. As we close this off, what's the future of work? What's the future? Like June alluded to it, but what skills does the lawyer of the future need going forth? Right? Other than the normal ones that we are taught in law school and what's on everyone's CV, do you think it'll be an added advantage to have technical skills? I know for sure for me it was, because I stood out, but going forth.
Yeah, so for me, I don't think the way we do stuff as lawyers, lawyering is going to change. What is really going to change, in my view, is the business model around lawyers, around law firms. It's something that people talk about a lot, but people never do. Every lawyer in the room almost raises a bill, gets paid, raises more bills and gets paid. And my view is that what's going to change is how the process of actually hiring lawyers, the business model, what does it look like? Do we have law firms? Do we have independent advocates? What does it look like? So I think for lawyers now, the future, the skills that they need, obviously, like I said, coding is like, brain exercise for lawyers, and it's not too hard. But what they really need right now is to be able to position yourselves in a business model that will work in the future. And there's already a lot of debate around the current model. So if you can set yourself up to be in a model that really works, and a model that changes stuff, I think that's something that would suit you well in the future.
I think for me, it's more on data, and big data and it's going to get hotter, and it's very, very important to know your data and to be able to visualize your data and have business intelligence, like to understand, how is my business doing? I'm not very conversant about how law works, but this is very general for every single space, every single industry, right? Being able to get rid of the papers and have technology do the work for you, right? We're going to be having AI. We're going to be having AR. People are going to be studying through technology, right? You put on your Oculus glasses and you're in the classroom, you're studying, right? You don't need to go into court, right? Everyone is here in this space. So it's more about looking at what places can technology take over? I'm doing my spreadsheets, use manually. Is there a software that can do this for me, right? So data is very, very important, because without data, you're not able to make predictions. You're not able to, you won't understand your business, and you won't understand because if I know every year I make X amount of money from, I don't know, my cases, right? And it's kind of, you can see a pattern and you can see trends, then you're able to predict next year, this is what we're going to be making. These are the problems we're going to be having. If there is an election, this is what we should be expecting, and we can have interventions for all these things that are about to happen, right? So it's being able to predict and see the future. Yeah.
I think we'll see a lot more in terms of automation. So this is software or software that is used to cut down the number of steps in a process. So like maybe even writing contracts, You now have software where you put in the names of the parties, the details, and boom, you've got a contract in 5 minutes. So what this now means is that day by day, the concept of that becomes redundant, because if it took someone or 5 people 10 hours to go through a document, and the software that's actually producing those documents, then it means that we might have to sell something different from time, because we're not spending as much time doing the things that we were doing in the past. So definitely a lot of automation. Probably if lawyers don't resist, there will be a change in the way that they cost their services. So now, since they can't exactly sell their time, they will then have to look for ways to value add that which they sell, which is their information. So I think it will move away, or it will move towards a more advisory-centered way of working, where we see a lot of lawyers spending even maybe less time in litigation and more time on policy advice, giving policy guidance, giving advisory guidance on how laws are affecting technology and how technology is affecting laws. And lastly, we'll even see lawyers becoming more knowledgeable about how to use computers. Someone mentioned Excel and Word, and some lawyers right now still don't know how to use those programs. So yeah, so we'll get to a point where we see lawyers actually maybe starting to use more of these basic technology tools. But then on the flip side, what I would like to caution is that as we automate things, including the delivery of legal services, we shouldn't do it in a way that leaves people behind. Because currently, if you can't use the technology, then you would be double disadvantaged.
It's really just changing into what you'll be selling. If you're no longer selling your billable hour, you are selling your people skills. It's about how you negotiate, who you can talk to, and your persuasion. You are selling your networks, your people networks, because whatever the business needs will always be something that needs to be approved or gotten from a human being, whether it's a regulator, it's a human being. If it's the people in a licensing department, they are human beings, so your networks. And then just like he said, there are also a new service opportunity for trainings, so that people are not left behind. There are new opportunities for the lawyers who, you can train on what you know. You can train people who don't know what you know. Yeah.
Therefore, in conclusion, should lawyers code? No. Yes.
All right, thank you very much. You decided to not raise the mic at the end. Asante sana. I know it's been a long day. I hope you're not tired yet. Our final panel for the day, we made it. Our final panel for the day is going to be moderated by Sumaya Omar, and it's going to be about innovation, lawyers, cybersecurity, knowledge management in the context of law firms. Innovation, lawyers, cybersecurity, and knowledge management in the context of law firms. Sumaya, karibu. As they're coming up here, I'd like to teach all of you who are not from Kenya something. All right? So just repeat after me. Me, I love Nairobi. Just say, me, I love Nairobi. If you love Nairobi, you can't say I love Nairobi. You have to speak in what we call Kenyanese, which is terrible English, like me, I am here, instead of I am here. So you need to go out there and say, me, I love Nairobi. Spread the word. Sumaya, take it away.
Good afternoon, guys. My name is Sumaya Omar. I'm a tech policy fellow at Lawyers Hub and one of the conveners of Africa Law Tech. Thank you so much for still being in the room at the end of the day. So I want to make this panel really short and sweet, and so I'll break it up to 3 different questions. Number 1, I'll let all our very distinguished panelists introduce themselves and tell us the work they do, and then I'll ask them a question related to innovation, knowledge management, and innovation and tricks and tools for lawyers. And then we'll finally have a concluding word where they'll give us just a minute of what they think about innovation and what are their closing remarks on this panel. So just to begin with, innovation is very key, and it's part of the SDG 16 together with Article 48 in Kenya, and that enables access to justice. So we need to find ways as lawyers and techies to find innovative solutions to enable access to justice. And so just to begin, I'm just going to give Chioma the mic to introduce herself, and then we can do that for everyone.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Chioma Ihagwara. I represent Legium Lawyered, the business developer. Yeah, okay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ridwan. I lead the privacy and data protection team at TechHive Advisory in Nigeria. TechHive is a technology advisory firm with key focus area on privacy, data protection, cybersecurity, startup advisory, and policy and research.
Hi, everyone. My name is Greg. I'm a software engineer. I recently began getting interested and involved in access to the law about 6, 7, 8 years ago. And I now run a nonprofit organization that digitizes African legislation for public access.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Longet Terer. I'm a lawyer, and I work in public agency known as the National Council for Law Reporting that is charged with digitizing and disseminating Kenya's public legal information. So that is case law, laws, statutes, gazette notices, etc.
Hi, everyone. My name is Gerald Abila from Uganda. I've been doing legal tech since 2008, and I've seen the sector change and develop. I'm best known for an organization I started called Barefoot Law that provides free legal advice using technology tools. These days, I choose to focus on an area called legal futurism that sort of goes into the future and comes up with policies to advise us on how to get there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much to all the panelists. So I'll just start with the Ridwan, all the way from Nigeria. I know you're you formed TechHive recently, and that's an advisory firm, and you do a lot of work when it comes to data protection and cybersecurity. So in just 1 minute, can you let us know how law firms in Kenya or generally Africa can find ways to innovate, especially with the changing landscape in cybersecurity in Africa?
All right, thank you. Yeah, so the first thing is we need to understand that law firms, with the way they operate, actually holds one of the most important information about the people they provide services for. So whether you provide services to individuals or you provide services to corporations, assets, and this valuable asset is becoming more important to the people on the other side, for example. And we've seen instances where competition go after, competitions to an organization actually go after law firms. Increasingly, we're seeing law firms who are becoming victims of data breaches, security incidents, and all of that. So essentially, for so many law firms, and even during my days working in a law firm, you really many of them don't see themselves as actually holding some of these very important things, and therefore there's a need to probably there's a definite need to put security measures in place. So protection is fast becoming a thing, and it's really important for law firms to see the personal information that they hold or personal data that they hold to as something very valuable. Technical and organizational measures in place to make sure they are both complying, they are both safeguarding their infrastructure, and also safeguarding the interest of the clients which they provide services to.
Thank you so much for such a service in your country.
Oh, okay. First of all, I should tell you what Legium Lawyer do.
Definitely.
We provide services both to individuals and to the legal profession. To individuals in the sense whereby we try to sensitize them on the rights which they possess, breaking down the legal diction into the simplest possible term so that it will be easy for them to know what they're expected to do and the rights which they should or which are supposed to be protected. Then for the legal profession, okay. For the legal profession, we provide services as regards to education, community, marketplace in the sense whereby individuals who are writers can publish their articles and get due credits in regards to traction and financial credit. The whole idea of creating Legim was because, to be honest, I never wanted to practice law. I never saw myself practicing the law. I saw so many injuries attached to it. Being or doing that which would hurt another person or would affect another person in a negative manner. That is not me. People hurt every day, but they do not have the access to protect themselves. And when it's a legal problem, the damage can go a very, 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 very long way and not only affect you, but affect those around you. So why are legal services that expensive? Try as much as possible to reduce the costs, to make it accessible to the middle class and to the lower class. That's one. Try to, the second issue is, sorry, I'm a bit jumbled. The second issue is that unless you are aware of a problem, you'll never recognize it as one. Unless you are aware that your right is being infringed upon, you would never know and you'll not push to enforce it. So you tell them what they need to know, and then you provide an avenue for them to enforce it.
Thank you so much, Shoma. That was really deep. Moving to the other side of the stage, Gerald, so you started Barefoot Law in Uganda, and you're one of the most innovative lawyers I've ever met in my life. What do you think needs to be done to help lawyers understand the need to integrate innovation in their daily work?
Follow the money. It's that simple. Just show lawyers how innovation will lead to a reduction and give them a competitive edge, and they'll come. You don't need anything more than that.
Wow, I just love how sincere my panel today is. Moving to Greg. So Greg, you started something very legendary in Africa, and that's actually all throughout the world. And in your work and in your space, what do you think is the role of techies getting to understand more about the law?
I think, yeah, it's a good topic based on, if you think of what we just spoke about in the previous panel, in terms of what should lawyers learn to program. In most major professions in the world, lawyers, accountants, auditors, doctors, etc., it's regulated. If you do something that's illegal or against regulation, you can lose your right to practice that profession. Software is not like that at all. And I think as a software engineer, I don't like the fact that software engineers are seen as the be-all and end-all, these amazing people. In fact, there are big problems with the software engineering community when it comes to doing things that are illegal. Because they don't know better. So I think there's a great opportunity for lawyers to teach techies what the law means, right? As I say, the industry is unregulated. I think if I'm a programmer at Facebook or anywhere, I don't want to highlight Facebook, programmer anywhere, I can do something without absolutely any idea of the legal consequences. And if that turns out to be illegal or something, I can go to the next company and do exactly the same thing again. It doesn't matter. And I think this is going to become a bigger and bigger problem over the next few years. And I think it is crucial that the legal profession works with the technical profession to try and understand how to mitigate these problems, because we're already seeing it has major impacts on human rights, democracies, and that sort of thing. So I would love to see there more sort of two-way interaction between techies and lawyers helping techies understand their responsibilities and teach.
Checked out our website at Lawyers Hub. We are a community of lawyers who are exactly doing what Greg has mentioned. So we are trying to create a nexus between techies and lawyers and creating a community that can look at the intersection of law and tech. So please check our website and look at all the amazing work we do. On that note, I'm going to give the mic to Longet, who's the CEO of Kenya Law. And Kenya Law has received numerous awards in terms of the innovation work. So maybe he can just tell us in 1 minute what he feels is the role of knowledge management in innovation, or how do they intersect, and how has that worked for your organization so far?
Thank you. I mean, this is a really wonderful topic. And even when I was invited here, I thought, well, how very appropriate that we should be trying to see how we can bring together the legal and the technological worlds so they can work together. Maybe just a bit of background in terms of legal information. I think we all appreciate that for a long time, it's never really been accessible. So I think in terms of knowledge management, even before we get to the point of saying we want to manage that knowledge that we have within the legal profession, there's a great need to actually make it accessible. And just to paint a picture for all of us, just how much information is out there. In our jurisdiction, that is Kenya, in this case, we've been able to digitize about 140,000 judicial decisions. In terms of legislation, we have more than 35,000 pages of legal text. So that is just legislation alone. Kenya Gazette, going back all the way to 1900. So there's a lot of information. And so even as we are trying to manage this information, we found that it's really important, or rather it's actually foundational to actually digitize that information. So what we've been able to do is then digitize that information to make it fast accessible, to make it available for anyone who needs it. And going forward, then trying to drill down to make that information a bit more useful so that it's more searchable. You can have, if it's highly searchable, you can use and reuse it. You can have better data mining from that information. So in terms of knowledge management, then we've been able to use a lot of technology, and I'm glad Greg has talked a bit about that. Yeah. So really, it's all this legal information and overlaying. A lot of this legal information is actually public information. So in the first place, it should actually be available for anyone who needs to see it, to access it. It's not been the case previously, but of course, this is changing. And I think that is the exciting thing about technology and law, that technology has democratized the legal profession, has made information available. And so for us, we're really excited what technology is doing, and we look forward to databases that speak to each other. Information that is, we talk about big data and being able to capitalize on that. So all of that, I think, is really critical. So there's a big opportunity for the legal profession to capitalize on technology so as to better use the information, the public legal information that is actually available.
Thank you so much for that. So really amazing panel that has talked about many deep issues, from following the money from Gerald all the way from Uganda, and Chioma, who said that she did not want to practice law. I love that, really honest. So I'm just going to give you guys 1 minute to give a concluding parting shot on what work you do. And if you had one thing to tell an 18-year-old who's trying to join the law profession, what would you tell them?
Okay, so by the way, I'm also a lawyer, but I mean, I'm doing something completely different now. So for me, I think as individuals, we need to do a lot more beyond just what's on the surface. During one of the sessions, there was a question about if anyone read the terms of use of the Wi-Fi a lot of people were connected to. So essentially what I'm saying is there are tools, we need to go beyond just the bare minimum and do a lot more for ourselves. In safeguarding what we do, and as an organization, as a law firms too, we need to do a lot more in terms of securing some of these, securing our infrastructure. Basically, I mean, it's no longer news. Big top tier law firms, without mentioning names, I've been part of a number of investigations in my country where I come from. 2 incidents involving law firms and how they fell victim of data breach, and these are things that goes into your baseline too. So we need to understand some of these things. What advice will I give an 18-year-old? I mean, just grow up in peace. You can figure out life later. It's never that straight anyway.
Thank you. Chioma?
My advice would be, as individuals, we owe a duty of care to ourselves, to each other. And as lawyers, we are supposed to protect everybody else. If we fail, the world is going to crash. So we should try as possible to enlighten ourselves, to make ourselves better, and to make it easy for legal access. It's not about the fees, it's not about the money, but we studied law for a reason, which is to protect and to enforce. So that's what we should be doing. Greg.
Thanks. Coming from the tech world, and the innovation in the tech world moves at a frightening pace. And then coming to the legal world, where innovation in the legal world moves at a glacial pace. And innovation in the government world, I think, moves even more slowly. And that causes friction, right? And that friction is not going away anytime soon. And that friction, there's huge opportunity there. There's opportunity for business, there's opportunity for innovation. There's also opportunity for manipulation and for people to, their rights to be infringed and that sort of thing. And I think it's up to lawyers, it's up to techies, it's up to rights people and policy writers and everyone to try and work out how to balance those two conflicting forces. And I would put out there, I see a lot of jackets in this room. I'm wearing a jacket even though I'm a techie, because lawyers only listen to you. Law people only listen to you if you're wearing a jacket, right?
Really?
I encourage you to psychologically take off that jacket, right? Step out of your comfort zone. You're already doing that because you're here. Step out of that comfort zone, interact with these people who are disrupting the world and see how can you manage that? How can you support that where necessary? How can you restrain it where necessary? Because that evolution, that change, that disruption is going to happen whether you like it or not. It's already happening. And I think only by bridging those worlds can we effectively hope to do this effectively without essentially our democracies crumbling. Thanks.
Can I get an amen?
If I was to advise a young person studying law, well, first I would actually tell them that they should follow their passion. So whether they want to study law or study whatever other subject, whatever other field, whatever field they want to get into, I think it's important for people to follow their passion. And that, of course, comes out with time. And as they do so, to give it 100%. But most importantly, I think it's to acknowledge that society will appreciate when people people solve problems, when they give a great service. And it doesn't matter what field you're in. If you're able to give it 100%, solve a problem that's within society, my advice.
And most importantly, use Kenya law always. Yes.
That's part of
the law. Okay.
In my closing remarks, my advice to an 18-year-old who wants to be a lawyer, specialize in space law. I mentioned this on the first day, and I'll say it again, specialize in space law. It's virgin territory, and it's going to make you billionaires, probably. Secondly, something you should know is it's always been a challenge measuring impact when it comes to looking at access to justice or the law from a demand side, which is where most of us play in. We faced that challenge for many years, but last week, thankfully, the UN Statistics Office released a new indicator, 16.33. Go and read about it because it's going to influence you going forward. Final 8. We've reached a point where the technology has sort of stopped. You can't innovate to points beyond which you can't reach something like consciousness, and yet legal decisions are imperfect. So you need to start going backwards towards thinking of innovating doctrine. So we've reached a point where we focused so much on innovating the law from a tech perspective, we've ignored innovating the law from a doctrine perspective. So we need to go back as lawyers and focus more on innovating from the doctrine. Otherwise, we are going to reach a point where we can't proceed anymore. And I hope next year when we are back, when Lawyers Hub invites us back here,
Of course.
we'll be discussing a bit more on innovating doctrine. Because I think 5-10 years from now, we won't have a sector called legal tech. It's like emails. You can't say I specialize in emails as a lawyer. It's just a tool for delivery. So a lot of this is going to be reduced to evidence. But we need to focus on innovating doctrine. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this wonderful panel. We're so glad you could be able to join us today. And thank you for the audience for listening to us.
Thank you, everybody, for staying with us for this long. Thank you. So before we close up, we're going to do a little fun thing with Mark. Hi. Yes, we're going to do a little fun thing with them, so don't leave yet. I'd just like to say thank you to Lawyers Hub for inviting me here. It's amazing how, as a performing artist, I've learned a lot of things, considering social media is my currency, so to speak. So thank you to all the techies and all the lawyers for imparting a lot of knowledge in me. I have a feeling there's a lot of my data out there that I wasn't paying attention to before. Anyway, Mark, please come on stage. Let's do this.
Well, actually, I'm not going to come to stage because I think I'm going to hand over to Linda to come to stage if she's ready, which I think she is. Can you give Linda, the crazy lady that thought this idea up, a big warm round of applause? Can you believe she's still standing? Keep clapping, keep clapping, keep clapping. Yay, there you go.
Thank you so much. Wow. Guys, it's done. Okay, so I've been on the edge just thinking something is gonna go wrong for like 6 days. So I couldn't sleep. I'd wake up in these panic attacks. If I sleep for like 30 minutes, I wake up again, I'm like, who's coming? Who's the speaker? Okay, what's happening? And Mark has this way of giving me statistics about coronavirus and Australia. Italy's on shutdown. He's watching the BBC, and I'm just like, God, what's gonna happen? So I just want to say thank you, everyone who made this happen. Because I don't think it would have happened without all our partners, you coming in. I don't even know what to say. Just thank you so much. Please tell your neighbor, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Whatever role you played, thank you for making the Africa Law Tech Festival happen. We were stubborn enough not to postpone this event because we thought the first event should never be postponed. Google and ICANN, for example, can afford to cancel the event because it's a tradition. But we thought it would be good to just begin the tradition and see what happens next year. And so I'm glad that we didn't cancel it. I'm glad that we've gone to the end. Omedia Network had planned a meeting of their grantees from across the continent to coincide with this meeting so that we could have all the members come in. But there were several things that happened, and so they cancelled in light of what's happening globally as within the continent. And so we got so discouraged, but they said, if you believe that you can pull off this conference, please proceed. And I think the confidence of our team at the Lawyers Hub, for just taking in, being confident enough to say, guys, let's proceed. So thank you so much. I have, I think, 2 things to say. One is I'll start from thanking everyone at the Lawyers Hub. If you work at the Lawyers Hub, please just get on your feet. Yeah, I think they should come to the front so at least we have a picture to remember. You can come in really fast. Please come to the front. Even if you're on the camera, please just come in. Except if you're taking a picture. So these amazing ladies and how many gentlemen at the Lawyers Hub? We love women. We are lots of women at the Lawyers Hub who make things happen. And so I'd introduce, thank you very much. So we have Ken. He takes the video. If you loved the videos, do you love the videos and the highlights? He does an incredible job. And more than that, he's my younger brother. So thank you very much. I convinced him to quit his job 2 months ago. I've tried to convince him for an entire year, and he came in and made such a huge difference. So thank you, Ken. We have Sheba, who's been really taking care of the nice admin stuff. For the speakers, she's been in charge and talking to you guys. Thank you so much. Then we have Sumaya, who's the tech fellow. She's done an incredible job. She ran the event in Rwanda and Nigeria as well, and we're together in Uganda. So thank you very much. Then we have Kate. Kate is also a tech fellow. Catherine Muya. So she's also a tech fellow. She's done the reports, a lot of the comments we've done before Parliament as well, and the elections report that she presented today. So thank you, Kate. And then we have Rispa, who's doing the training, and for the Kenyan lawyers, all your points. She's in charge of the academy that we had on Friday and Saturday. And then we have Louisa, and you're going to see what she's going to do tomorrow for the ecosystem tour. So she's been running that. Thank you so much, Louisa. And then we have Cynthia. Cynthia has been doing the social media. If you love the tweets, Cynthia has been doing that. Then we have Selena, and Selena is a little angry at us. Selena is a tech policy fellow at the Lawyers Hub. We were supposed to do the Africa Law Tech Awards. And we sent a call for people to, put in their bid nomination. We had about 524 submissions, but we couldn't do the awards because a lot of those nominees were unable to make it to Nairobi because everything that's happening around. So we decided to postpone the awards to a later date mid this year. And so that was supposed to be her huge launch of the awards. So I'll give her the mic just to apologize that she doesn't hate me.
Oh, guys, I'm sorry about the awards, but there were some great submissions. I was overwhelmed, but actually, Linda and I going through the submissions, we were overwhelmed by the amount of work that's being done around legal tech in Africa. So kudos to everyone. If you are in the room and you did submit, or if you know someone who submitted, coming up soon, stay posted. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we hope that before we get to, the awards, whatever happens going forward, we hope that we can map out what everyone is doing and provide this sort of legal tech innovation maps as we wait to go into the awards. Then we have Edna Bonyo. So Edna is my small sister. She's interning at the Lawyers Hub, and she's a second-year student at Kabarek University. She's doing her law degree, and I convinced my mom to let her join us for this event so that she can stop staying home on Instagram. Okay, and then we have Victor. We had the Global Legal Hackathon that Victor put together, and it's been incredible. We have the winners in the room who was pretty excited. Victor is very focused, so he'd call me in a room and say, "Can I see you outside?" So he's, I'd say, the employee of the month at the Lawyers Hub. Yeah. And then we have a part of at the Lawyers Hub, we do legal work as well to support the work that we do, because we run every event that we run. Most of the event, maybe 90% of the events that we run are free, just like this conference. And so we look at ways in which we can cover our core bill. And so we do immigration and technology advisory and law. And so the person who leads that work is Jackson. So thank you so much. So that's the team at the Lawyers Hub. I hope I didn't forget anybody else. Could you give them a round of applause as they leave the stage? I hope you took pictures of us because we are gone. Okay. Thank you so much. So having said that, I'll say the second thing. The second thing is there's been a question on what next? What do we do after this? So what do we do after this is I've been trying to hustle partners to just see, are you in for next year? Are you in for next year? And we don't want to charge for conferences. We think we should democratize knowledge. For someone to get on a flight and get here, it means that they have spent something. They're losing time and all that. So we hope that we can have another edition and still have it like we did here. We're convinced that the academy is so important to get people to take 2 days off and learn. We're convinced that the Global Legal Hackathon and the Africa Legal Hackathon that we announced at the Academy would really help us to get teams engaged and thinking about Pan-African solutions, in justice and in policy. And 3, we hope that this forum, like we had yesterday, the policy session, would help us to shape policy across the continent. It will help us to identify policy priorities that we can engage in the next year. And so I am hoping that if you're a partner in this room, and make next year happen. We hope we can have next year of March, that we can still gather together in Nairobi before we move to other towns. We sort of want to stabilize. So if next year you could join us the first week of March, we're going to release the dates and we'll release the partners. Please join us, support speakers to travel, support groups to travel, help us through our regional events, because we hope we're going to come to your city and do a regional event like we did in Nigeria, in Rwanda, and in Uganda. But 2, we think that there's a time to get our heads together. One of the things we focus on at the Lawyers Hub is that people wonder who we are. Are you an NGO? Especially lawyers. When they meet us, they're like, are you an NGO? Are you a company? What are you? So we like that because we provide a place where government feels comfortable. Human rights activists feel comfortable. Law firms feel comfortable. And so today we think it's an incredible idea to have you help us launch the Africa Law Tech Association, a place where people who are different can come in together and look at issues around access to justice and tech policy. So I hope you can join us. I just got a text from Mozilla saying we want to be the founding members of the Africa Law Tech Association. And please don't clap too hard because we just bought the domain. So we have no website. So we're going to announce, we're still sort of wondering, is it africalawtech.com or africalawtech.org? But not to worry, we bought all of them, so you cannot buy any of them. But this is us. All we own is a logo and a great idea. So if you're interested, please could you drop us an email at info@lawyershub.ke and say, this is our logo, we want to be part of this network, whatever it means. We will figure out what the membership structure looks like. But what we know is that the policy that we did yesterday, the work that we have done this weekend, can work better if we all form part of this association. You don't have to be a company. You can be an individual that is already consulting on issues around the matters that we have talked about at this particular conference. I hope that you're excited about this as we are. Who's excited? Yay! Thank you so much. To the vision, I don't know what else there is to say, but I want to appreciate, I think, the podcasters. Do we still have the people who did the podcast in the room? If you're doing the podcast, did they leave at some point? Yes, so we've been having a podcast running. You can go to Africa Law Tech Festival/podcast. You will be able to hear everything else that's been happening at this event. I think the live stream links are still there. You could share it with your friends. And the pictures are available. We took really nice pictures that if you post on your LinkedIn, people will start taking me as an authority, I promise. So just ask for the pictures, we'll send them to you, and then you can share them with your friends. So is that a good way to wrap up this conference? We don't have this grand closing, but I think Mark has some really nice ideas.
Shall I?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So what we thought is that we wanted to capture this moment and ask if we could get at least one group picture. Okay. So if we could ask everybody to stand up and come towards the stage, we're going to get one big group picture, and then our team are just going to move this table and this table out, so we've got a little bit more room, and we'll get a real nice picture.
Let's come for the picture.
Yay. Yay. That one that way, and then this one's going to go that way.
There are people who want to dance, Mark. I think you need to put some music as well as we wait.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, as we walk to the front, I want to appreciate the guys who've done the pictures and the branding. Did you like our event colors? Did you like the posters?
Okay. This is going to be one big, beautiful picture. All hands on deck to move chairs out the way would be yeah, that would be good.
Can I finish?
Ken's DJ Ken.
Hey DJ.
No, that's fine. They can sit on the stage. Aha. Looks like a good place to be. I like your style. Is there anybody willing to go on the low ground? I'll be down here. Anybody on the front foreground? Come into the space. Yes. Okay. Right. So.
Mark, can I say something before I'm fired?
Yes, you can.
Can I say one last thing before I'm fired?
Yes.
Okay. I want to thank, if you loved our posters, you loved the branding, this backdrop, please give a shout out to Anthony Mwongela. Where is he?
Where is he?
Did he leave the room?
We can
pictures.
Yeah.
What?
I'm sure he'll be back in a moment. We can do that again. Yeah? All right. So let's get the picture. Can I squeeze in? Where's nice?
Get in the picture. Where's Jack? Picture, Jack. Yeah, let's jump in. Yeah, 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 yeah. There you go. Let me see you. Louisa, is that a tambourine? Oh, let's bring some of those toys over here so we look like we're having a festival. Yeah, yeah. If you can just start handing those out, that'd be great. And then we're gonna smile after 4, right? Oh, look, tambourines. Hand a few out. Get a little tambourine section going. Spread them out. That sounds good. Shall we count for a big smile? Okay, 4, 3, eyes on the camera. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's do the formal one. Everybody look very formal. Hide the tambourines for a moment. Okay, very, very formal. That is very, very serious business. Okay, straight face. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well behaved. Okay, I think we need a bit of a celebratory festival vibe as well. So that's good. Stay where you are. Yeah, go. Let's do it. So my thinking, if you don't mind staying where you are, is I just wanted to do 2 things. Number 1, I wanted to ask you to just cover your mouth and yeah, just If I was to count to 4, because I think it might be nice if we got a little media clip, could you all shout, and I'm just trying out with, I'm just going to try out with you now, hashtag Africa Law Tech really loud. Would that be good to put out and stream and get that trending? So after 4, I want everyone to shout, hashtag Africa Law Tech. And then you shake your thing, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we're just warming up. We're just warming up. I noticed that my sister in the middle, she's like, I'm shaking. I don't even have a maraca in my hand. So there's a few. We could get some tubes. Yeah, grab a couple of tubes. That'd be good. Right. So I think we've got the formal picture done. Can I have 3 chairs? 3 chairs. 3 chairs, if you wouldn't mind helping here. Okay, you're looking beautiful, by the way. All right, okay. We're good? It's good? Okay, I'm going to try and help you. Can I get a bit of volume on the mic? A little bit more volume on this mic. You know what's coming, right? Okay. Okay, 1 second, 1 second. Okay, make some noise! Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, stop. Now, you may have noticed that you've just fallen into a sneaky trick. Right, and the sneaky trick is to say, we really want to finish as we mean to go on with this association, this organization, and this family. And Linda, for some reason, thought it would be, not my idea, right? Linda thought it would be a good idea to celebrate with a bit of rhythm to kind of metaphorically say, we are moving forward together, right? So that's the idea, right? But now we've got the picture, what I really want you to do is have some space to move so we can actually play a rhythm together. So all of you guys on the floor, please stand up and face me over here. Jack organised the bass drum. The yellow one and the green one, we're going to rock. Yes, because we're going to jam now. Hey, hey. Stay where you are, stay where you are, stay where you are. Widen the circle, widen the circle. Okay, are you ready? I'm gonna do a quick call and response, okay? If I say, you'll respond on your shakers, your drums. If you are playing an instrument like this, you can grab your sister's tube. Oh, I'm so sorry. You can grab a tube. We can have some of these here. So volunteers, some help, little tubes. Right, maracas are on the floor. Help yourself. Grab some instruments. And the cowbells. Here we go. A little little sound check. If you're playing a maraca, the red plastic one, thank you, sir. Richard. Can Richard and the maracas make some noise after 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Shh. Okay. First of all, that's not a maraca. And so let me just identify what we have. This is a tambourine. This is a maraca. These are the tubes. Listen up. These are the shapes. These are the bass drums, and we need 3 very strong rhythmical women to come and play the bass drums. Can I have some people on the bass drums in? Yeah? And then we do a call and response for everybody. Do we have any cowbells? To everybody else, Jack. Sorry. All right. Get one more chair. Grab that chair just behind you. At the end, when it goes right now, then I'm going to grab it. Okay, listen up. Shh. I want to make sure that we sound good, right? And to sound good, you have to listen well. So to listen well, we must be aware of what's going on around us, and we must know what we're carrying and how we contribute to the future of Africa Law Tech, right? If you've got a maraca, follow Richard, nobody else, just the shakers. 1, 2, 3, 4, shake. Right, that's you guys. If you've got a tambourine over here, over there, you're multitasking, I can see it's good. Tambourines after 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's that sound. Great. If you've got tubes after 4, just go ding, ding, ding. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's great. If you've got a cowbell, any cowbells? Okay, they're coming. If you've got a bass drum, we're going to rumble really loud, but I'd still need a person on this drum. Any volunteers? Linda on the bass drum, thank you. Can we have a rumble on the bass drums after 4 when Linda's here? 1, 2, 3, 4, rumble! Aha, that's good. All of that stress that Linda's been carrying, she's gonna let it go. And now I think we've got the cowbells. Okay, they're very loud. Where are they? Okay, oh, you need a stick. There you go, you've got a bell, they're gonna come. Jack's gonna help you with that. Right, after 4, 1 beat, just 1 beat. And if the DJ can stop the music, that would be great. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, you guys are into numbers, right? 1 is a singular unit, so you just play 1 beat. I still need volume on the mic if I can. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you lean it up, put your toes underneath it, you get a bit more volume. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm feeling it now. Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now a gentle rumble from everybody. Gently, soft. Soft, soft, soft. And then you're going to take it up. You're going to take it up. You're going to take it up. And you go, whoa! 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we'll see you next year. I'm joking. Hey, some people need to go, right?
Right, quick call and response. Let's get this show on the road very quickly, right? So can I have everybody shout African Law Tech? 1, 2, 3, 4. So with me in rhythm. That's right, count to 4. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4. African Law Tech. 1, 2, 3, 4. I want the bass drums to say dum 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 dum. And then I want the cowbells and the agogos to say ding ding ding. Right there. So it's going to thank you, Jack. So it's going to go boom 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 ding ding ding. 1, 2. Nobody else, just the bass and the bells. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's good. Jack and my friend over here on the bell, you respond to the bass drums, right? Can I get all of the tubes to give me the clave beat? You might have been with us at the concert on Sunday where we all played tubes. Catch us. All part of the sound check within there. The shape, can I show the shape? It's great, my friend. Can you give me boom, boom, tap, boom, boom, tap, boom, boom, tap. And the tap is what we call a rim shot. If you say boom, boom, what about, or even holding it like this? Can I have that? Now the shakers, the record. And the memory. Now the flower, I mean. Now, I know you lawyers and techies are often put into the introverted category. I don't believe that at all. I think you've just been waiting for this opportunity to express yourselves,
both physically and with your bodies and with your smile. So all I need you to do now is to get this thing moving, is to move whilst you groove. So when you're playing, ba-ba-da-bam, bam, chat, 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 we're going to move, all right? Now I want you to move. 1 second. Hold it. Shh. I want you to move and celebrate like no one's watching. I want you to dance like no one's watching, right? And if I show you one thumb in the air, are you with me? Are we working as one team? Thank you. So over here, if you see one thumb in the air, we will stop and we will all shout, Africa Lord, here we go. That's it. Yeah, but we have to really shout it like we're really going somewhere, yeah? So we're just going to try that out. You're going to say, Africa Lord, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, some of you are keen to drum with your mouth and mouth with your drum. But I just want your voices. Just your voices. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then Linda's going to lead us with the bass drum. Boom, boom. And you're all going to go, chan, chan, chan. So it's going to be, Africa Lord, here we go. Boom, boom, cha, cha, cha. And then we go back to the rhythm. Is it a good idea? Okay, so we're just trying out the break. This was Linda's idea, by the way, not mine. Right? Trying the break, it's got to be loud and proud. I'm going to try and get us out of here in the next 7 minutes, okay? Just to help you. I know some of you need to leave. So big call out. 1, if it's not loud, shh, we'll do it again. 1, 2, 3, shout! Yeah, the chang, chang, chang could have been louder. It's supposed to be all of you being led by this crazy lady to move us forward, so you can all help. Boom, 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 chat, chat, chat. 1, 2, 3 on the drum. Boom, 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 boom. My bells. Yeah. And stop. So we only do this once. This is how we start. Africa Law Tech, here we go. Boom, 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 chat, chat, chat. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Africa Law Tech, here we go. Okay, and rest. All right? That is how we begin, and that is how we finish. And now you'll remember, boom, 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 ding, 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 boom, boom, cha, ding, ding, ding. Are we ready? Okay. By the way, you do know that I love my job, right?
So we noticed I'm hoping that this is not a rehearsal and this is the final performance. But if it's rubbish, I will start again. So it's up to you how focused you are, how on time you are, how much you know your role in the future of African law tech. Get clear, use it as a metaphor, as a symbol for our future together. Let's be the change you want to see. Are we ready? Yeah! Right, so.
Don't forget to dance.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you've got to get it going. Yeah. So cameras rolling. Are we ready? Cameras rolling and action. I'm going to do a big introduction and then it's going to take us into the beginning of that's the name, right? Introducing to you the most supercalifragilisticexpialidocious band that we have here today. And the name of the band is... One, two, just the shakers. And then with the car they after 4. 1, 2, 3 on the 2.
full. Yeah, for those who are interested in the ecosystem tour tomorrow, please register at our desk. Okay? That's all.
Okay. What time does the ecosystem tour start?
Around 9 and 10, but we'll confirm once we close the registration.
We know that 9 means 10, but tomorrow it's going to be 9, okay? Okay, we'll be meaning 9 because we don't want to wait. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your energy. Give yourselves a round of applause. Safe journey home. Be well, be safe, and wash your hands.